Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. This is Road to Hope, and I am your host, Reverend Ed Brodrick. And today, we have got a show for you. If you are listening to the sound of my voice, there's a few things that you are going to learn today. First of all, you're going to learn revelation. You're going to discover some spiritual truths that I promise you will set you right and set you on that path of peace and restored hope. That's what this show is all about. Also, call in. You see the number at the bottom of the screen. Call us. You need a blessing? If you have a problem, if no one else can help, if you got a situation where you got a shadow man, you got some ghost things going on, you have some questions that you would not even ask your rabbi, your pastor, your priest, well, ask me, and perhaps I can help you. I'll even do a blessing right here, right now, over the airwaves, so that you can be blessed and set where you need to go. Today, for the first hour or more, depending, we have a very special guest, and he will be calling in very shortly, my friend Matt. Now, Matt isn't just a guest, but he is actually a brand new host here at the Global Enlightenment Radio Network. And he is going to talk a little bit about the show, what you can expect, and then actually we're going to talk a little bit about our personal history. So it's going to be exciting. Exciting indeed. But today also, it's revelation time. You want to learn another secret to help you get along? This one is called the law of reciprocity. Say it again. Law of reciprocity. Whatsoever a person sows, that shall they also reap. Now, we've heard that on the negative side, right? You reap what you sow. Usually when we've done something bad and somebody's really hoping that, in the typical merciful kind of way, hopes that you reap a bad one for what you did. But also you can apply that truth and the opposite. So now I know that the great Daryl Odin is at the phones, so I know that when you call in, boom, you get this guy. That's a blessing right there. And I know Matt will be joining us very shortly.
I'm actually
so that'll be
now.
awesome.
Do you hear me in?
Hello, my friend.
Hello.
Yes.
Good evening.
My friend, Mr. Matt Jackson. How are you,
I'm
sir?
doing fantastic. How you doing? Good to see everyone.
You've had quite the day. I understand that you just recently got out of work.
I did, and now I'm here to share the evening with you folks, well into the night. The baby's gone to bed, so I am free to just chit-chat and do the thing,
What is your child's name?
Charlotte.
Charlotte. If you ever see this baby, it is the spitting image of her papa. Oh my gosh. So good. So good. Such a cute kid. So now, what is it that you do for a living, Matt?
I work for the Air National Guard as a commander.
The Air National Guard. So you are actually a member of the military.
I sure am.
Thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
For sure.
Even if you are National Guard,
it's okay. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But this is great. It's fantastic to come on here and hang out with you folks tonight, and hopefully we just let the spirit come, and we'll find some things to talk about.
Well, that's the one thing about being part of this network is most of the hosts have an idea of how they're going to do things, but we also wing it. So, hey, I have an idea what I'm going to do for the evening, but we just kind of let things go. And of course, well, at least this particular segment from 9 until midnight is the property of the Almighty himself. So it's going to be interesting. All right. So now you had contact. Well, I guess I contacted you, but somehow you got yourself connected to the Global Enlightenment Radio Network. So how did that happen?
So I saw a link that was sent out, I believe by you at one point, and I saw this and I was like, this sounds like a fun thing, getting on, doing the radio thing, and I flirted with this idea a long time ago, and I just never followed through, but I thought it might be a fun thing to be able to come on here and talk about things that I find to be important. And it's pretty much what I did. I reached out to Katie and to Daryl, and I was able to, secure some time with you folks. So that's really what happened, and very happy to be here.
That's right. That's true. Yeah, the great Katie Camara. Congratulations. I want to say it publicly, too. Congratulations on your spiritual promotion and your ordination. I guess I should start calling you the Right Reverend Katie. So, outstanding work. Well done. Well done. But, hey, if you look at her site, I don't want to brag, but if you look at her site, she has the post where she was interviewing me, but it turned out I was interviewing her, and she knew in advance that this would happen. Just saying. But anyway, back to this conversation. All right, so again, synchronicity. What is that? We're going to be talking about that tonight too. What is the law of synchronicity? So there's the law of seed time and harvest, or you reap what you sow, and the law of synchronicity, where there's meaningful coincidences. And that actually is what happened when I met Jackson years ago. What was it, 2005?
I would say so, roughly around that time period. It's been a long time. It's been a long journey.
When I was, I was a rent-a-cop at the time. I believe
I was the same. We were both renting as cops. We were the rent-a-cops. So
we were at this mall in New Hampshire. I was living up there at the time.
Podunk is the word. And Podunk is the word you're looking for. Yeah.
Podunk, New Hampshire. Yeah. Out in the sticks.
Cow Hampshire. Hampshire. Yeah.
Hey, Cow Hampshire. Yeah. That's right. That's right. It was the roadkill wasn't squirrels and stuff. It was just cows everywhere.
So good eating.
So now, since we're up in they were really good. Pick the gravel up. That's what it was. So now we were in New Hampshire, and we were at the mall. But I want to talk about how what happened. There was a situation happening, and it's so powerful. Talk about spiritual principle. You remember that guy? One thing about Matt, if you tell me, take a look at him. Does he look like a guy who could just be your own house security? I mean, I would hire this guy to be security. Why is that, Matt? Why could I trust you for personal security?
I have absolutely no idea. I have absolutely. I don't know why you would. But you know what? Maybe I just have that air about me that like I could do something.
That third or fourth degree black belt and was it?
Don't talk about that.
Ninjutsu. Ninjutsu. But anyway, he was so he was perfect for the job. But we had this guy. He must have been tanked out on drugs or something, and he comes barreling through them. Also, it turned out to be me and Matt, and Matt was just really starting to his spiritual journey as far as with God and with Christ. So I was mentoring him at the time, and so we're just kind of talking and everything, and this guy is just crazy. So Matt starts to bristle up like he's ready to do his
something. We're doing something. Something's going to happen. I'm ready. Something to happen. We're going to do it. I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to be rolling around the floor.
And when you bristled, he bristled. It was getting worse. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I got to do something. So I asked, you had to go do something, and I started speaking to the guy. Now, one thing that we forget, as far as especially in relationships with people, you're not just dealing with people. You're dealing with spiritual forces that are manipulating people. Don't forget, if your spiritual eyes were open up, you would see this place is massively populated by spiritual beings. Some in devotion to God and some in devotion to watching the world burn, just like people. And so this person was packed with these negative energies, whatever. In my show, I'm going to call them demons. So, the demons, this guy was definitely demonized. And so I started to talk to him. Now, what Matt doesn't know is while we were talking, I was talking to the guy, I commanded those spirits to be quiet and to submit. And before I was done praying, the guy said, well, I'm sorry. And he got down on the ground. And what did he look like by the time he came back?
It's funny. I remember this. I remember the whole situation. He got down on the ground, and there was a calmness that came over him after this whole
Yes.
whole situation. I mean, he was extraordinarily agitated. Before this.
Yes,
and
he was.
When he got on the ground, things started to calm themselves pretty quickly.
And he was spread out. His arms were spread out.
Yep.
He was
like a snow
laying
angel.
prostrate.
Doing a snow angel
Like
on the floor.
Matt takes a look at the guy, takes a look at me, and he has the look on his face like, what? WT whatever. It was on his face like, what the heck happened? I'm like, oh, all right. Started talking to the guy. And so he managed to be packed up and gone away. But from that moment, we started growing in friendships, and then we started hanging out almost all the time. And so the one thing that Matt and I thoroughly enjoy years later is good conversation, educational conversation. For he works from his angle of history and philosophy, and I'm coming from my angle of the paranormal and the spiritual, the religion, and it's just a nice blending. Now, of course, what I guess you folks don't know is that Matt and I are brothers in the faith. So he loves himself some Jesus, and so do I. And so he has had the opportunity to experience the power of God for himself, as well as seeing it manifested in me. So that really sets him as a brother, and I wanted to support his show. So what is your show about, and what's the name?
So it's an interesting thing. I kind of meditated on this whole the idea of what I was going to do for an entire show. And, at first I'm like, I have a lot of things I'd love to talk about. I need some maybe some consistency, some coherence to, what subject am I going to do? So I as of right now, it's still in its infancy. It's still like a prototype, but I thought one thing to do would be kind of return to a state of more traditional storytelling, and what I would love to do is kind of bring us back to a state of being able to, maybe me tell a story or read a text and then have a discussion about it after the fact. In a world that's just so utterly saturated with so much information, let's just have me let's take that burden off of you, and you can just listen to me tell a story. Good old-fashioned story. So I call it. I said,
tell a story.
Let's call it a fireside tale. Not to take the
right. Okay.
Fireside chat, but a fireside tale, right? I mean, that's a. we'll work on. We may work on the name of the show, but we'll.
So if you folks out there who are watching, you have a suggestion for Matt's show, the name of it,
I would be glad to take
make a comment below.
That's not my best suit to be naming things. I just, I'll take a suggestion.
Exactly. Hey, call me. So yeah, give us a suggestion. What do you think Matt's show should be about? Now, you told me earlier that your primary concern was that you felt that people were relying upon technology a little bit too much. And especially you were talking about television and the way videos are and everything. Could you kind of
Absolutely.
Shed some light on that?
So this is one of the things that I have been kind of passionate about for the last 3-4 years. What I realized was that I was years ago very saturated with the internet, social media, all these types of things. And what I realized was that it was having an effect on my life. It was having an effect on my belief system. And I think, it's like that boiling frog analogy. You don't realize that you're in boiling water until it's way too late. Well, I think in general terms, I believe a lot of us are already in that state. There's no way for us to get out of it. Now, at one point, it was a choice. I'm not sure I believe that it's a choice anymore. I think that the way we have, as collectively as a society, and a global society too, not just talking about just the United States, as a global society, we have become so reliant on these types of things, social media and the internet, for our information, for our day-to-day, it's the arbiter of truth. Sometimes you have to take a step back. And I'm sure years ago, you look at some older articles a long time ago, before the advent of what's come now in the year 2020, you could see the prophecies of this coming. You could see people saying like, oh, I don't know, this could be a bad thing. Maybe we shouldn't let everything just be so dependent upon these platforms and whatnot. And I think that's what's happened. I think there's a distinctly concerning element of negativity that is on these platforms. And so, it's interesting. Here I am, I'm on a platform right now speaking to you folks, but I think that there's definitely something to the situation that we have going on in the world right now, the various situations, multiple situations. They're exacerbated by these platforms, by this whole internet situation. And that's really been my kind of my gospel that I've been preaching for the last few years, is to basically try to tell people to move back, pull back from it. Now, I'm not talking about going back to an Amish life. I'm not saying that.
Following this particular pattern, what do you think about the human race's move towards transhumanism? What is transhumanism?
I think so my personal definition would be this idea that humans are going to be more integrated over time with technology, with machines and artificial intelligence. And I do believe that we are rapidly moving towards that. And, I think, once again, these things all start as a means of convenience, and they're touted by people that have created these sort of platforms and things. Whether it be like I say, a chip in the hand or something like that, to have a cashless society, something along those lines. There's always a good argument for it, like, well, that could be a good thing. But at the same time, there's always a negative. There's always two sides to the coin, and you have to ask yourself, do the positives outweigh the negatives? Often they don't. They don't typically outweigh. And so, in my opinion, I think like this idea of transhumanism, not a great thing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I think pulling back, going to a more traditional way of living, or at least thinking, that I think is an important message to be giving.
So you think that, I'll make sure I understand, you believe that the more we depend upon this, the more we make this our modern day idol?
Absolutely. We all have one, don't we? We all have one. There was a point in time when you had a choice not to have one. But nowadays, it's not really a choice anymore. This is important. Apps, the platforms that we use, even your banking. Think about 20 years ago. Would you have ever really thought about having all your banking done on, the World Wide Web through your phone? No, of course not. You'd think that's crazy. That's wild. You wouldn't submit all your information and everything onto this platform. You wouldn't do that, but you do it now, and it's out of convenience, and it's out of convenience, but it is no longer a choice. And as time progresses, things evolve. And those choices that you had before slowly erode, and you're no longer having them anymore. So that's the position I take on.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like an anti-technology guy to a certain degree. I mean, it's not that I think that we should abandon it entirely. I think it's just that we need to have better boundaries and better suitable boundaries to be able to use these types of things without absolutely damaging our society, which we are absolutely doing. And we're doing it.
So give me an example. Give me an example about how. Now, I understand that, I mean, dating myself perhaps, but there was a time when the internet had just hit and it was all the rage. And we had America Online, where we had the dial-up, and it took like 5 minutes to get online. And now look at that then, and look where we are now. Before that, we had television and radio. I was commenting to someone recently that I would have had to have a degree in broadcasting to be able to broadcast as far and as wide as I am right now. But being on the internet, I am going further than I would have when my parents were growing up. It's amazing to me.
And that's
how technology has advanced.
It's a fantastic
But
tool.
human beings are notoriously,
That's
we're notoriously lazy.
Yep, that's it.
We would much rather have machines do things for us than us actually getting up and doing that. Frankly, I'm there. I mean, why would I want to go to the library and go hunting down all these books? Although with some texts I do, because it's certainly not on here. But those are the ancient texts. But in general, it's all in here. I mean, I've got libraries, literal libraries that are online that I have right here that I can access. I studied the Aramaic and I studied the ancient Hebrew and the Greek from here. So in some ways, I guess this is a good thing.
Absolutely.
But how can you bridge for me the idea of how technology, of physical machinery, physical cybernetic communications, the internet, what have you, how does that tie into somebody's spiritual life? How can evil manipulate people? Because you were saying before, you felt like that technology, when it's dependent upon all the time, could become a weapon in the hands of evil or the forces of darkness.
Absolutely.
Also.
So, once again, simply a tool, right? Simply a tool. All these things are simply tools. What happens is, for example, we now have a device here that has 24-hour-a-day access to all platforms, all forms of information all the time. And in that information dump, I guess you could say, because that's what it is. I mean, it's just overload. There are subtle things going on that are not really noticed. And I think that the things that we don't notice are it's like the boiling frog situation again.
Okay.
If you believe in an ultimate evil, which I do, I do, and to me, I consider this ultimate evil to be the devil, right?
Okay.
What would be the very best thing to absolutely have control over people's attention 24 hours a day, have access all the time, 24 hours a day to people's psyches? We already have it. It's already invented. We have it right now. I could get off this chat right now and take off and just scroll through the internet, through Reddit, through Facebook, through Twitter, and what I'll find on there, you'll find wonderful things like our show here. This is fantastic. This is a delightful thing that we have here. But there is so much
educational, inspirational,
negative,
right?
Absolutely negative. If you want to, I'm going to use the reference from Ghostbusters too. It's like mood slime, right? There's absolutely a torrent of so much negative mental and psychic energy that is on the internet. I mean, if you could quantify it, if you could actually quantify it, I mean, it would be almost infinite how bad it actually is. Look how easy it would be just to go on Amazon and just see like the comment section on Amazon. Why do you have that? Why is there a need to have an argument over whether these types of socks are better than these other types of socks? But stored on these collective servers is that just the distillation of people's animosity towards each other. And it's quantifiable, it's actually physical. And so what I believe is that this sort of physical manifestation of psychic energy is a real thing, and it's actually affecting us. It's affecting it's like a psychosis, or you know,
almost like a manifestation of the. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
And hysteria, and ultimately, it's something that, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I believe it's demonically inspired. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, if you were the devil, you absolutely have access to mankind 24 hours a day. And even if that person never had any inclination to sin or to find something that they shouldn't be looking at or shouldn't be doing, they absolutely now have the option. They have the option available to them. The gatekeepers, there are none, not anymore. And so, in my opinion, that's what it is. That's what I see as a problem. We have allowed ourselves to just be swimming in this ocean of information, and we're not realizing that there are sharks in the ocean. You know, I mean, you have your social media platform, but at the same time, you have a hate group in another platform abutting yours with your family pictures and you know, vacation photos and whatnot. That's not good. That's not a good thing. And so we've allowed ourselves to just live this sort of life that is, I think, is not a good thing.
It's fascinating. So we have a technology that literally is reflecting the very soul of mankind.
Absolutely.
Its collective thoughts. And it's fascinating because if you ever want to know what mankind thinks about, just peruse the net.
There it is.
Because it has its very best, it has its very worst, and there are forces that do control the internet. You know, with fake news, all you have to do is put a story out there, and you literally can sway the thought. Now, you mentioned something that's interesting. You talked about the collective psychic energy that could manifest things.
Yes.
There was an episode of one of my favorite television shows, Supernatural. In this show, two brothers go out and they battle physical manifestations of evil. It's a great show. Anywho, there's a part where there was an episode where somebody would plant an idea of a ghost or a demon or whatever, and it would manifest in the world. And I've been keeping tabs online about different kinds of cryptids. These are beings or creatures that are being seen that are not logged into the zoological list of known or unknown animals. These are unknown beings, unknown animals. And so there was like one, like Slender Man. Now that was a character out of a graphic novel, but now people are saying that they're actually seeing this thing. Now I find that very interesting because there was a technology very similar to what you're talking about back in the ancient times when they were building the Tower of Babel. The same thing. That was when the global, I guess you could say, the land masses were all together, Pangea. So that was the one continent before it broke up into different ones. And so this was just after the cataclysm of the flood. And so there had been some survivors of that. It even survivors of the Nephilim. One of which was a guy named Nimrod. Of course, today we think of Nimrod, you moron. But Nimrod back then was considered a noble name. He was a hunter. He was actually a practitioner of the dark arts and a hunter of souls, or servant of the Nakash, the Shining One. But he also held sway over the masses. He was the ruler. And so he was the one that gathered the masses together. They were of one mind. They were, and so interesting, they were of one mind, one intention. and one desire, and that was to create a tower that would rise above any judgments God would have, and they would be like God. That's what they wanted. They wanted to be like God. They were building a tower. Now, I believe that tower wasn't just a tower, but a technology of some kind. So they were creating this tower, and one of the reasons was so high that even if God should send another flood, it would not affect them. So it was this arrogance, almost like the middle finger to God. So they built this huge tower, but the response of God was fascinating, because he said, look, they are together of one heart and one intention, one thought, one mind, and nothing would be denied them. Therefore, I've got to divide them. And so that's when the landmass is divided, the tower fell, and there was Babel because they couldn't understand each other, thus the term babbling, or then the Babylon came about. But I find them interesting. So here we are again. What we are racing towards globalization, one world government. I mean, you would have to have your head in the sand if you do not see that we're headed to one world government. That was the ancient prophecies talk about that, not just our prophecies of the Bible, but prophecies in general point to this globalization. And here we are. It's almost like this net. We're back. We really are.
We're back again.
Now, there was the time, right? There was that time in ancient Middle East, over 2,000 years ago, when the people who had been reconnected to God through what Jesus did and entered into the blood pact of Christ, where they were awakened to the truth, and they were one with God. But here's the interesting thing: they were of one mind and one heart, and instead of being divided, the power of God was released upon them. Now, I find that interesting, because in this case, the power of God was granted to these people. They were of one mind and one heart, one intention, just like it was in the Tower of Babel. And they went out and they performed exactly the same miracles as Jesus, and even greater ones, just like he prophesied. And they're still doing it today. Although I do believe a large portion of Christians today don't even tap into the supernatural power of God that's available to them. But that's on them. And that was, prophesied too. What was the difference? Why was there a division when mankind came together in unison? And why is it that this whole thing won't work again? Or will it? What are your thoughts?
God. One's of God and the other isn't. One is of God and the other isn't. One's of the earth, one's of man, and that's it. That's the reality. You have two sides of reality. You have man's doctrines. You have man's doctrines, and that's something, from a philosophical perspective, I'd love to expound on that. That we think that our doctrine,
which you will,
which I will. It's absolutely. We have our doctrines that we believe to be truth. We believe them to be truth because you know what? Oftentimes, they're universal. It's a universal truth. You find the same truths in Hermeticism that you find in Vedanta. You find all these things in
Okay, so wait. So what is Hermeticism and what is Vedanta? Just kind of lightly touch upon that. So the rest of us would understand.
Absolutely. So across different...
What would be the common... Because I know that they say that, hey, all the religions say the same thing. Okay, so what are they saying? That's what I'm really asking.
So that's the interesting thing. So what you find in a lot of other religions, and you can find it in Christianity, when we went through the scholastic period in the the early church, you find a lot of philosophy running through everything. It's a way to bolster these sort of supernatural elements that are a part of the religion. And of course, there is a great schism among thinkers in all these religions, but specifically in Christianity, that say we have no need for the philosophy of the Stoics, the Neoplatonists, definitely don't need the Epicureans, don't need that to bolster what the gospel says. And that ultimately is, you know what? Philosophy is great if it informs your faith, but if it detracts from your faith, bad, very bad. And so what happens?
So even philosophy, philos meaning love and Sophia
wisdom.
Meaning wisdom, lover of wisdom, right? So even then, if pointed towards ego, self-centeredness, will always be empty. Is that what you're saying?
You end up in a world of relativism. And I can tell you, from my own personal experience, you know, I spent so much time studying all these different paths. What I found was nothing.
So relativism is
the relativism is the relative view of truth. You have your own truth. I have my truth. Daryl has his truth. We're all going to have our own.
So like Friedrich Nietzsche, basically, who said that your reality is your reality, period.
Right. It's your
There
reality.
is no absolute truth.
There's no objective reality. That's the thing. We end up with, when you study philosophy deeply, when you get deep into the roots of it, you start finding that each individual philosopher had, you know, things to say about other philosophers, and they're contradictory, and you end up creating your own worldview. It may not be the truth. It may not actually be the truth. It's just something that you have created. So further, when you're dealing with, you know, theology, when you're dealing with the idea of God and metaphysics and whatnot, sometimes you end up either creating your own God or finding that there's no God there, because you have reduced this almighty omnipotent presence that has positive attributes that you'd find in the Old Testament. You find God is defined by what he does and what he says and how he separates his people and his actions from other gods. Now, those are positive qualities. In philosophy, say like the prime mover of Aristotle or the one of Plotinus, you end up with basically just an answer to a philosophical question. Well, what's the meaning of reality? Well, there's this one divine simplicity that's out there. That's not God. That's not God. That's you know, look at the God of Spinoza. That's not God. The Spinoza God is not God. Pantheism, not God. It doesn't have agency. That being does not have agency. It's you may as well say there is no God in that sense. That's my personal opinion. That's my personal take on pantheism and other types of you know, monism that
hold that thought.
Yeah.
If you want to add to this conversation, yes, it is, Chris. It is okay. If listen, you want to add your 10 cents to this conversation? The number is 929-436-2866. 929-436-2866. Then make sure you call 522-657-2748. 522-657-2748. And then hit that pound sign twice. Don't do it once. Twice. Okay, so now we've talked about philosophy and we've talked about the internet, and we're saying, well, wait a second, if we do not have a spiritual root in God, then all of this is empty. So no matter how many times we take a beautiful pig and dress it up put a dress on it, put a tuxedo on it, and put a hat on it, it will never become a person. Right?
Absolutely.
So you're saying the internet without divine purpose is a big old fat pig with a dress. Is that what you're saying?
You're getting on
Is that what you just said to me?
You're just getting on a slide, just diving down a rabbit hole to places you don't want to go. And that's what I think ultimately. And that's what we are.
So there's a way that seems right to a person. There's a way that seems right to a man, but it leads unto death. Fascinating. So we're not saying that technology is evil, nor are we saying the internet is bad.
No, not at all.
But the collective unconscious, or the collective mind of mankind together can release tremendous forces or prevent them. So that's fascinating. So you as individuals, my friend, when you start understanding that there are laws that govern the spiritual world as much as there are laws that govern the physical world, you can learn how to apply these own laws in your own life and then get God-like results, because that's what God wanted. But even with something as amazing as the technology that has been released in the earth through the internet, there's a natural evolution to it. It's growing exponentially on its own. Even there have been, Matt, hasn't there been advances in AI, artificial intelligence?
Absolutely. I mean, we discussed about, talking about the nature of like what is actually sentient. What can you consider to be sentient? At some point, you have to say like, well, is a robot that has all the same qualities that a human has. Can they experience the same type of experience that we have through in the consciousness that we have now? I mean, that gets deep into like the theological idea of like, do you have a soul? Is the psyche something that is real? These are tough questions. I mean, these are definitely tough questions.
You are the exact guy to handle it. So you're saying that pretty much what we're talking about is what's going to be the main course of your show? I mean, is that what you're going to be serving up to the folks?
I think so. I think that I might want to go down some other paths, but at the end of the day, one of the things that I think that just discussing things of the day-to-day ethical type dilemmas, those types of things, I would say that would be something I might bridge. I might want to do something like that. I may want to, like I said, do a night of just reading of stories or something like that. Go back to a more traditional way of communicating. But
like the old early Germanic ones?
Yes, well, I can be your bard if you'd like. I can be.
Wow.
I'll get a harp.
Chris?
Yeah, I have a question for you, Matt.
Chris.
Matt, Chris.
Chris, pleasure.
Nice to meet you. I have read about Hermeticism and several different kinds, including Gnosis.
Yes.
You're the first person I've heard that say that term in years. Are you familiar with the Gnostic and the Kafar movements?
So no, I'm not familiar with like is it a modern movement you're speaking of or
older one?
Okay, no. So I'm not familiar with that specific. To be able to have an enlightening conversation among friends and give it to the listening audience who would love to hear this type of thing for the purpose of enlightenment.
Oh wow, it's nice to have two people that are familiar with the history of the church.
Absolutely.
That's one of my big areas of research due to I research Hermeticism and Gnosticism due to my heritage. Yeah. I'm a heretic. If you have family from south of France or Great Britain, you are a heretic.
You were part of the Huguenots, right?
Or the Cathars?
Yeah, I had Huguenot, Cathar, and Gnostic.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, from a historical perspective, I mean, these Gnostic teachings, Arianism, all these types of things that showed up in Christianity, I mean, they persist to today. I mean, that's just we have those types of things in modern, various modern movements. And if I could relate quickly, just back to the fact that the internet, again, thank you for the internet. The internet is, if I could use the term, the agora in Athens.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah, that's what this is, right? I mean, ultimately, this is the agora. We live in the agora, and each person, if they decide to work, if I'm going to be an Epicurean, I'm going to go hang out in the garden, a cyber garden, which is over here, or I'm going to hang out with the Stoics, who are over in the Stoa over here, and we are all experiencing the same philosophical schools that have been around for 2,000 years. And here we are again in the year 2020 talking about these different philosophical sects.
So let me ask a simple but yet difficult question. Now, I will answer this question if you would defer to me, but I'll let you answer it. And so here's my question. With what we've all talked about and how the philosophies pretty much all kind of go down the same path, what makes Christ and Christianity different than the rest? True Christianity I'm talking about. What makes us the exception to the rule?
That's a loaded question,
that question
actually.
Yes, it is. And you better not disappoint me, Matt.
He won't, I'm sure.
Won't disappoint me, Matthew.
From my own personal testimony, from my own personal experience, having been down all these paths, having done all this stuff mentally and gone to the brink, seeing the abyss, I literally had an existential crisis, thinking that I've gone too far, overboard with this stuff. Something simple, returning back, even just the ethical teachings of Jesus. One of the things that really brought me back from the brink of, just, I guess, intellectual overload, which can happen. I mean, it is a symptom of all this technological stuff. Simple thing. Parable of the Good Samaritan. Parable of the Good Samaritan. That was the thing that brought me back.
Interesting. Okay.
So simple. And what it was ultimately, and I'm sure we know the parable of the Good Samaritan, having the Levite, the man who's the man who's on the side of the road who's been accosted by thieves. The Levite shows up, the priest shows up, and then the Samaritan, who is the lowest class of person, he shows up, and he's the one who does the right thing. He's the one, even though he breaks all the cleanliness laws, the halakha and whatnot, he breaks all that. He is the one who does the right thing. And it is one of those things that you realize in your soul. This is where philosophy dies. Philosophy dies here. It has nothing to do with a philosophical type thing. This is something that you can only know spiritually in the soul. You realize it. You can only realize it when you say to yourself, there's something so divinely true about this, because you know what? You could see a person on the side of the road that has, a sign, and you say to yourself, I don't want to give them money. I don't want to help that person. It is Jesus's words. They are so simple and yet so difficult to follow through that they have to be divine. That's my position. That is what led me back to faith. I realized that all the pomp and circumstance and all the stuff that you can read Pseudo Dionysus and all these other philosophers, you can be out there doing all this stuff. If you cannot simply take the gospel for what it is, just a simple, plain gospel, and realize that what Jesus says is absolutely divine truth, you don't need anything else. You have to be able to recognize it in your soul. You must be able to recognize it in your soul. Anyway,
okay.
That's my soapbox I stood up on.
All right. So, in philosophy, there are at least, and I was just making sure I got this right in my mind, there has been at least 9 different religions that talk about how there was a God who was alive, dies, and comes back.
Oh yeah.
So the idea of a God dying and coming back from the grave is not anything new. So, for instance, you've got Odin. That's for you, my friend Daryl. Gotcha. What does he do? He hangs himself for 9 days on the world tree, and then comes back from the dead. Of course, he doesn't come back from being eaten by a giant wolf, but don't worry, we got that.
Oh, well, in the Norse religion,
so then,
yes.
Yeah, and Dionysius, same thing. Dies and comes back. Then you got this, you got the story in particular. One I was thinking of was the one of Osiris. Osiris gets murdered a couple times, and one time he gets killed, and then he gets torn apart, and there's a certain part of him that's saved, and then from that he is risen again from the dead. So I'm going to play, now I'm not going to say devil's advocate because I am an exorcist and that just won't work for me, but I will play the doubter's advocate. Let's just say this, okay? Can you imagine? I will play the devil's advocate. I'm an exorcist, but that's okay.
You can play both sides of the fence. I've learned that. You can play both sides.
I'm clever like Odin. All right, so let's think about this. You've got a situation where there's a god who dies, and he comes back, and then you got Christianity. And then you have Jesus. Jesus is a God who lives, and he dies, and he comes back from the grave. So, the difference that tears apart the philosophies of men, number one, is that none of those gods, little g, was not the God. Okay, whereas Jesus did not become God. He was born fully divine, fully God, not half God or half human, but fully divine. And then as he becomes man, or is born of a woman and is fully human, he takes upon himself all of humanity's woes, all of humanity's sin. Not one other God has done this. And borne upon himself the full judgment that you reap what you sow. And there's an immutable law, and that is almost in every religion. It's called karma. They call it karma. So if a man brings the world into darkness and trouble, then a man has to bring the world out of it. So God literally becomes a man, and then as man. Now, the beautiful thing is there's a prophetic moment where Jesus is standing before the governor, Pilate, and he says in Latin, because that was the governing language, Ecce homo, behold man. He did not say behold the man, he said behold man. Now that was amazing because he literally called it. He was mankind. Here is mankind in one body.
Scourged.
And then, bam. Now the difference, say, between a god, let's say Yahweh, and Odin, is that even though Odin was a god, he was not the entire god because he had his elder gods he had to fight with, which, by the way, is just another reflection of Greek mythology. But I won't go too much further than that because I respect my friends. So, anyway, this eternal being becomes mankind and then takes the negative karma upon himself. The judgment's made, and then he rises. Why? Because sin, or the negative karma, it keeps people separated from God and is death. But since there is no longer any negative karma, any sin, he rises from the grave as justification. That cannot and is never duplicated anywhere else. So, the biggest difference is that when Jesus rose from the grave, he rose as God and man and made an eternal covenant between heaven and earth. So now mankind is actually part of the Trinity. That's not in there either. So now part of the very nature of the Creator himself is humanity at its very best. That has never been accomplished anywhere at any time, and nor is it offered as a free gift to whosoever will come and receive that forgiveness and cleansing. So the philosophy comes in when people who are hungry for divine truth come up with logical, how do I say this? Logical ways of explaining what they perceive. God to be. So whereas God reveals himself because we cannot conceive of him because our mind is so limited, but philosophy is mankind's perspective on what God is like. That's why we always fall short, because mankind does not have an idea of how the eternal being is. I mean, we even talk about a collective unconscious because of the fact that we do not possess the conscious thought of the profound truth. If we did, we would not be in this situation. Just a thought.
Absolutely.
So I throw that out there for the gang.
Absolutely.
So now let's get back to what we're talking about, the internet. So is the internet evil?
Unto itself.
Yes. Is the internet unto itself? Yes. Is the internet good? Yes. If I took now let's just say, hi Jennifer. If I take a ruler, and now I am building you a house, and I'm building a house for the poor in the neighborhood, right? So I'm building nice things for people and building shelters for the poor. But then I take that beautiful measuring ruler and I sharpen it to a dagger and I kill half of the poor. Now I became a bloody murderer. I'm crazy.
You're a bloody murderer.
Now, you bloody murderer.
You're bloody murderer,
now, the ruler. Now, was the ruler evil that did that, or was the one who possessed it evil? So that's my point. And so the internet in itself is neither good nor evil. It is whatever you sow into it.
It's a tool.
Whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So, so Matt, I just wanted to have you on because I completely 100% believe in you. And I have had a chance to get to know you and the type of man you are, and now you're a dad, and it's just amazing. You and I have been through many different kinds of challenges and adventures together. I'm reminded of a story. I can't remember if it happened to you or not, but were you the one that had? I think you're the one that had the encounter with the shadow person, right?
You know,
yeah. By the way, right here, we're changing lanes right now, so we're going from philosophy to paranormal. So catch up with us. I love you, but come on, catch up.
Let's go. Ian, we're going to go into.
Here we go. Now we're going into
I'm touching your box right now. I'm touching your box. I did.
Okay, here we go. Ding, 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 ding. Now we're going. All right.
I did. I had that. When I was younger, I definitely had a lot of experiences. You know, you wake up in a state of disorientation and you see something in your room. And,
okay.
What is it? What is it? What is that?
Now, you saw this, or was that somebody else who saw it? I'm sorry, I missed that part.
I personally had stuff like that in the past. I mean, it's something that has not happened to me now, but I have seen.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
The shadow.
When we
people.
first started talking.
Those are things that you would absolutely have happen when you're sleeping at night. You wake up and you look over in the corner and you say, "I think I see there's somebody standing there," and it may dematerialize into something else, but. Coat hanger or whatnot, but there's not to say that thing isn't actually there. I mean, they're absolutely. I mean, it absolutely could be there.
Right. So now, there was somebody who told me the story about how I think they were a police officer or something, but they knew how to fight, they knew how to self-defense, and they also were very well trained in weapons, like I was when I was in the military. And they were saying that when this creature was coming up, this shadow had manifested, and it was so vivid, it was literally, they could feel it creeping up on them, and it wasn't in a dream state, it was real. And they saw this shadow, but in 3 dimensions, just creeping up on him. He was so full of terror. And he realized at that point he was powerless against it. Powerless against that. And then at that point, you got to ask yourself this question. You're powerless against this thing. what philosophy, Stoics, the Huguenots, whatever it is, what is that? What is going to help you at that point? You see what I'm saying? So, wow. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah,
Where's the defense in that? Where's the true defense? And there's now, of course, there's people who will tell you, okay, well, make sure you shield yourself from white light. Okay. But I've known people who've done that and they still had issues. So, listen, you're just going to get it straight up with me, my friends, truly. Okay. So I will give you the keys that will help you. Matt, what time is it?
I have absolutely no idea. Where are we at? We were at 10:03 Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, so we are at shameless plug time. So we're going on to the new hour, and I've got something I need to do with this new hour. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes, even less, whatever you want. I want you to plug yourself. I want you to tell the world your show and when you're coming on. When can we expect to hear the pearls of wisdom dropping from your lips? All yours. Go for it.
Okay, here we go. So on Monday night, this coming Monday, I believe at 11 p.m., I think that's what we settled upon. At 11 p.m., I will have my show, my first run at this. And, I think this first show, I may want to do a little bit, we've gone over some pretty deep topics here. I think on this next show, I might want to do a little bit of a, get to know everyone again. Maybe, like I said, read a text. Then after that, have a discussion about that. Someone wants to call in, that type of thing. But I think that's what I would like to do on this next show. But like I said, as this time goes on, maybe I might want to do something else. We may want to have more discussions in the philosophical realm, talk about theology and whatnot. But as of right now, I think that this next show will just be a little bit lighter and more to entertain, give people a chance to listen in, and especially as we approach the the Halloween season and whatnot. I might be looking to talk about maybe some ghost stories, some local legends, in New England and whatnot. We're just absolutely full of that stuff here. So.
Yes.
Yeah. We got ghosts here. We got ghosts. So I think that might be a thing that I'll do on my show on Monday. So tune in. I'll select a fun old text and we'll talk about it. So.
And also, you'll think of a title, right?
Yes.
As far as what you think your title should be on your show.
If anyone has a recommendation, I'd be more than happy to take a recommendation. Like I said, I'm not great at naming.
There you go, Chris. Put that brain juice to use for this guy. I'm sure you'll come up with a good one. So anybody, feel free to text us, let us know, give us a call, let us know what you think about
I'll help him figure out a title.
Uncle Matt's story time. What's that? Yeah. All right. Good.
This will help me.
Good.
Uncle Matt,
Matt, thank you.
Time, the time of history, and faith.
I like that. You know what? If Errol and Katie can write that whole thing out on a boilerplate on this, that'd be fantastic. I like that idea.
All right.
In gold.
Well, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Chris. In gold. Yes. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, Matt, from coming on. And no problem. It's been quite a adventure and quite an honor to talk to you. And I most certainly wanted to support you and just brag on you a little bit and support what you are doing.
Well, you are my brother.
Thank you very much for calling.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
I'm going to add you on Facebook.
That was Matt Jackson. And so next we are going to talk about this week's spiritual principle, number 1, synchronicity, and the law of reciprocity. What is that? What is the law of reciprocity? What is that seed time and harvest? Okay, so first let's talk about synchronicity. I actually talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Well, actually, no, sorry. A couple of days ago on the Blog Talk Radio, and you can catch me there as well. I call that show Freed. But I titled it, I'm Your Sign, or Here Is Your Sign. So very important what that's about. So what is synchronicity? Why do we have these meaningful coincidences that seem to happen? It's amazing stuff. So how many of you, I want you to think about this for a minute, in your life have had some of the most amazing things just fall in your lap? Just maybe you thought of something on television and there it is. Or you thought of your favorite song and you've been thinking about it for a while, and then somebody else happens to mention it as they're walking by, or you happen to hear it outside as the car's driving, or whatever. May I submit to you, my friends, that this is a law that you can tune into, I wouldn't say manipulate, but cooperate with. And it ties in also with seed time and harvest, reaping what you sow. We talk about karma all the time and negative karma and all that. Put that aside for a minute. What if you could take that, what if you could take that spiritual principle and apply it to you for good? We as human beings have a tendency to lean towards the negative more often than you think. It's almost like it's built within us. Life and death. This is what Solomon said, and Solomon being the wisest man that ever lived with the exception of Jesus. But Solomon said, life and death is in the hand or in the power of the tongue. And they that eat of it shall, they that love it, the principle, will eat the fruit thereof. What you say controls your life. Look around. Take a minute and think about how your life is. Large portion of how your life is due to what you have allowed to be present in here. And out of the abundance of what you think about, your mouth will always speak. You'll never say anything contrary to what you're holding in here. And so that in itself becomes your weapon, and you can either use it or you can use it against yourself. So let's go back to the synchronicity, and then I'll thread all these things together. Please, during this time while I am teaching these things, feel free to give us a call. Send me a text. If you can't get through, then send a message, and I am quite certain that Odin will make sure I get that, or Katie will anyway. So, and then I'll answer your question. You can ask me questions that way, or if you need a blessing, because I know there's a few of you out there that need one. So at least a few.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In my own personal, exactly, Chris. So in my own personal experience, I've been having these amazing synchronicities just this week. Starting in the beginning of the week, I got a phone call from one of my congregants. Now I'm talking about the cyber one, because since we've been having the pandemic, I have put the entire congregation online, and now it's grown beyond the people that I would normally minister to. Now it's grown. But there was one particular person who I went to go visit, and their son-in-law was possessed, outrightly possessed. It was crazy. The guy was, the morning of the exorcism, he just was in a poor mood. Gentle guy, very funny, loving guy, but that day he had an attitude. Even his girlfriend noticed that, and she didn't understand why. And then as time progressed and it was time for him to be at the house, what happened? It was crazy. He just did not want to be in the house because of the fact that he was about to be set free. And those personalities that had attached themselves were about to be released. But the way that happened was amazing. And the person got set free. And that family called me on Monday and asked if I could baptize them. Next day, another family, and this one, the husband was possessed, and he was a prison guard from Massachusetts, and he was outrightly possessed, and the demons within him were very active, but he got set free also. And so they reminded me that, because they have a pool, that during the summertime, they asked if I could baptize them in the pool that they have. No problem. Well, the first family said they would like to be baptized, but they didn't have a pool. I said, don't worry, I'm sure God will provide. And then the next day, on Tuesday, this family calls me, and they have a pool. So, and they both live in Massachusetts, so they're all going to come together tomorrow. And the whole family under the beautiful presence of God will be baptized in the pool. But what were the odds that those two families would have called me with the same request? There's that sense of synchronicity where these coincidences happened. And so now I'm going to do that. Now, as I am going along during the week, I get another call, and this time it's from a rabbi. And the rabbi's daughter was having paranormal experiences in their house where orbs were, and I'm very skeptical about orbs, but in this case, the orbs were floating around, and one light, and you can see it because they had a camera inside, a motion camera, and so it would pick up motion, and it picked up this light going through at night, going through the apartment, entering into the chest of this person. The person sat up, looked around, laid back down, and the light came out of that person. And I got the video. It's creepy. And then there's another video where there's the wall facing away. Now it's not anywhere near the window or anything. There's a far side of the room, and it shows a silhouette of a person walking by. And the dog noticed that. So today I took care of that. But see, that also happened to be right in the schedule. So it's just amazing how all these things kind of came together. The case that I really wanted to talk about was this case where the one about the prison gun. The family had been plagued by all kinds of bad luck. I mean, if you're having, it's a good one. If you are having bad luck, and I'm talking about not just you have a streak of bad luck, but bad luck. Like everything that you put your hand to fails. Freak car accidents, sicknesses that the doctors can't even tell you, insomnia, maybe chronic headaches, and so and maybe your finances have been drained, and it's just one thing after another, no matter how hard they try. And that is a curse. So if you feel like you're in that situation and you're listening to the sound of my voice or you're watching me, contact me, because I'm not talking about a streak of bad luck. I'm talking about where it's almost like a lifetime, and it's almost every area of your life. It's almost like steal, kill, and destroy is the perfect description of what is going on in your life. That would be called a curse. So if you have that, call me and we'll break it right over the phone. We can break that. We'll take care of business right here, right now. So that is a spirit that has attached itself to you. When I say a spirit, I'm talking about an evil, negative entity, where it has attached itself to you, and it's working on breaking you down so that eventually your will be weak and you will submit to it, and then it will seek to possess you. Okay? So, call me about that. Also, sicknesses. If there's sicknesses and the doctors don't know what that is, largely it could be a spirit that's causing that. Why? Well, because sicknesses and diseases, the healing for that was provided by Jesus at the cross, because he also bore sickness and disease, as well as destroying the power of evil. So I mean, a lot of people don't realize that, but it's there. So this family was having a string of bad luck. The husband had messed around with Satanism for a little while, the magical side of it, the occultic side, and then dated a witch for a season. And that didn't work out and then so it was this one string of bad luck as he grew up. Then he met his beautiful wife, and his mother-in-law didn't want that, and she cursed the family, the wedding, because the mother-in-law hired a witch to curse the family. So, I mean, this was a bad situation from the start, and now the whole family's cursed. The children were even being affected by it, and so they were watching this paranormal show. Again, there was that obsession with the paranormal. And that's the other thing. That's another level of possession. There is oppression, obsession, possession. Okay? Those are the three cardinal levels that lead to being controlled or manipulated by evil. So he was already well past all of that. So they were watching the show, and I believe it was Paranormal Survivor or some paranormal show. And there was a case that was on there, and the case involved a woman from Fall River who was a paranormal investigator, and she had called alongside an exorcist that would help her, Father Tom. That was the name that was on the show. And Father Tom and this woman, Luann, from Whaling City Ghosts, she was, they went and they checked out the house. The house, beautiful Victorian house, looked like a haunted house. It really did. At least that's what I think. Anyway, beautiful house, beautiful home, but the spirit was pretending to be the husband. And so it literally was a poltergeist. What is a poltergeist? Pelter, which means noisy or throwing, and geist, ghost. Throwing, ghost, noisy spirit. But they also pretend to be people. So here she is, she's in bed, ready to sleep, and she feels her husband coming home from work and sliding into bed and talking to her. She rolls over to give a hug. The next thing you know, nobody is there. So that was terrifying. So she contacted this woman, and so there was the process of cleansing the house and cleansing the woman. But this got the attention of I believe it's History Channel, Discovery Channel. And so they wanted this on the show. Now, the reason why they got the name wrong was because they didn't contact me. It was actually Father Ed, not Father Tom, and that was a case that I worked with Luann. But when the show was broadcast, it was Father Tom. Now, this family is watching this episode on TV, and they're like, we need to get in contact with this team. So they contacted Luann, Luann contacted me, and I ended up there anyway. But what were the odds, even though they got the name wrong, that they ended up with the priest that they were looking for? See what I'm saying? These kinds of synchronicities happening to help people. So this family is the other family that is going to be baptized tomorrow. So those of you who are prayer warriors, please pray that they get richly blessed. But things happen for a reason. When you are realizing who you are, when you're starting to realize that you are vastly much more important and much more powerful than an average life that you live, that you are precious in the eyes of God, and you are truly a divine creation. And you start to grow in that, and you seek to know more will be given to you. All you have to do is to say one little simple prayer of, God, show me the truth. I want to see. And you'll know. You'll be guided. Because that's how he is. That's how God is. And so synchronicity is a law of reciprocity. Reaping, sowing and reaping. A thought that is perpetually contemplated on a consistent basis and mixed with emotion becomes manifest. Are there any callers? Anybody calling me? Anybody texting? If not, that's okay. I'll continue. But I thought I heard a dial tone.
That
Anyway,
was a bell.
back to what I'm saying. But Oh, there's a bell. Okay. Well, let me know, anyone, so you guys are awesome. I love you guys. You guys are fantastic. God bless every member of Global Enlightenment Radio Network. You guys are
Amen.
awesome. And
oh shit.
yeah, that's the truth right there.
A toast to you,
Oh, yeah.
Daryl. Bottoms
Yes.
up.
I toast to you, my obliviated friend. Okay. So, by the way, check this bad boy out. This is a flail. Now, in certain denominations, particularly also within the Catholic Church, this is known as a flail. Back in the old shipping days, it was called the cat o' nine tails, and it was designed for whipping people. However, in the hands of a priest or an exorcist, it's a flail for whipping demons, because this contains holy water. And holy water, a water that has been truly blessed with faith, actually has power to cause damage. So, do I use holy water? Most of the time I do, absolutely, because it's my point of contact. But I don't use it all the time. But I figured I would show that little show and tell for y'all. So synchronicity, I'm telling you, my friends, listen.
Easy.
What you see around you is a product of what you've been holding in your heart. You want to see change? I mean, really? Truly? Then do an experiment. Do a thought experiment. It's time to think. Enough of just chewing up and eating whatever people tell you. Search things out for yourself and run. Seek after the one being who loves you the most, the one who created you. Simplicity. Listen, the kingdom of God is designed for children. Jesus said, allow the children to come to me. They were playing around him and everything like that, and the disciples were like, get these rugrats out of here. And Jesus is like, no, don't worry, allow them to come to me. For such is the kingdom of God. In other words, the kingdom of God is simple, the simplicity of a faith of a child. That's it. Childlike faith. And to explain the kingdom of God has to be that very same way. The principles of God, the principles of the spiritual realm, must be in such a way that even children can understand that. Unfortunately, we as human beings complicate everything. And that's not Father's way. So, what you think about the most is what's going to come out of your mouth and come out of your life. And because you're made in the image and likeness of God, your voice contains power. Now, think about it for a minute, and you'll see that I'm true. If you've had loving family members in your life, and they build you up, right? How? By saying wonderful things like, hey, you know what? You're going to be somebody someday. Oh, don't worry. Don't be discouraged. It's okay. Failure's fertilizer. You're going to be all right. You're going to make it. And you believe that. And what happened? Trial and tribulation. You make it through. Then you got the other people. The people who have no brains in their head. And all they do is cut down on people, on the children. You're a loser. You never amount to anything. Even if the children aren't behaving, you don't speak that kind of stuff over them, because what you are doing is you're cursing them. Truly.
Amen.
Life and death is in the power of the tongue. And you speak life over them. You tell them, hey, all right, listen, I got to discipline you for this, but you are better than this. You're a hero, not a loser. You're a champion. Now, I want you to start acting like that. I believe in you. And then gradually, as you continue to speak over them, you will see their life change. Now, if you're smart, you will add God into this, because you are created to house the presence of God. The reason why human beings are good at channeling spirits, why we are good at being able to tune into the spiritual realm, is because we're created to be in tune with our Creator, with God. And once we get to that place, when we start speaking out the promises of God or the revelation of God, that revelation on our tongue, spoken in expectation, always manifests results every time. So do a thought experiment. Think of something that you would like. Keep it simple. Remember the KISS technique. Keep it short and simple. So, pair of socks, pumpkin spice coffee, or whatever it is that you would like, write it down. Be very specific about what you want. Then, every day, you look at that and you put emotion into it. How would you feel possessing a nice brand new pair of socks? Or a window fan? Or something that you can believe that supernaturally can be provided for you.
A little different.
So as a result,
she cracked up, and this one I threw her.
I can hear you.
Did you see the song I
Are you
said?
saying something there, brother? I can hear all three of you. Bunch of maroons.
I am just in love. I mean, today I have to admit that, you know, everybody's right. Even Jennifer Malik is right. You got to have something a little different. And the difference is a little bit of heart, a little bit of soul, a little bit of love. And you and Matt and Chris are doing it. You're doing it well. You're sharing it. Everybody is, I mean, it's amazing. It's a new experience for
We're not afraid to ask questions, brother. Yeah, see?
Oh, well, see, you know, people always been afraid. They fear things, they fear knowledge. Let's just be up. Hold on, let me get my head up. There you go. They fear a little bit of knowledge because it may hurt them.
How so?
I'll give you an example. If you had the knowledge of the world,
right,
if you had the knowledge of time,
right,
if you had the knowledge of faith and belief, how many people out there would listen to themselves? The fear is not to fear, you know, what's out and about you and around you. They fear themselves more. They don't understand, why is it that way? Well, hold on. It's your perspective of why it is that way. And the worst part about perspective is gained or learned knowledge. Now, if someone shot you a perspective, as Katie did to the guy that's got his degrees and all this, that all serial killers were not people that had psychological disorders. That could be, you know, somebody had a great household and they just want to have some fun. Or maybe they had a little sexual deviancy within them. Or see, when it comes to that issue, I say consult Reverend Ed or my man Mr. Jackson over there, Miss Matt, call Matt up, okay? Because they just got to lay some hands on you. You know what I mean? A little bit of that pressure. Because in my line of work,
I will. You know what? While we're talking about this, do you mind if I take a break?
Oh, you can take a break.
And we're both
because it's 10:30.
Oh,
tested
it's 10:30.
and approved by Mighty Man.
Well, how about this? How about it? Everybody's take a little break, because, you know, I might get a little deep on this, because people don't understand that God's love is God's love for all humanity. And not every person has the intestinal fortitude to understand that. And the problem that many people have is that they don't understand themselves. All right, break time. How about that? Lead us to break, Rev. You gonna say it?
All right, so I'll be back in 2 minutes.
How about?
Is that too long?
How about this?
1 minute?
How long do you want? You want 4 minutes, Rev? 4 minutes before break?
No, actually,
I'll fade you out in two. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
2 minutes. Outstanding. Then I'll be back, and then Mr. Odin and I will have our conversation.
Oh, I bet you've been waiting on that.
That'll be fun. Oh, and don't be afraid to call or text. Let me know what's going on. Okay, love you guys.
All right.
I'm a man who has lived in the twos and has broken the chain.
Now I can eat something.
At last, I believe I will be found. In the silence of my night, I can hear a distant voice. Someone out there is calling my name. Watch out! I'm not afraid. Watch out! I'm beyond the dread. It's time to turn the page and love again. Watch out! I can feel the pain. Watch out! Never cry again. I'm leaving all my shadows
Well, Odin did say, I'll give you 4 minutes. That was 4:55, brothers. But that's okay. We're still on the Global Enlightenment Radio Network, and we partying hard over here. We got the great Reverend Ed. Hey, Chris, you might as well get yourself ordained, man, because you too reverent for me. And, Brother Matt Jackson, I'm down with your sickness. To everybody out there, I got to say thank you for listening, because this show is enlightening to the hill. It's so good and so beautiful that I had even to bring out my little boy for this one, because, oh, geez, Matt, salute. My man. Hold on, everybody. We got to get back where we were. Oh, God. Christopher Wayne Fisher brings out 2 big jugs of Mountain Dew. I'm telling you, it gets no better than this at the Global Enlightenment Radio Network. And we are back to having fun. Now, if everyone is ready, before the good Reverend comes back, let's do it. What's up, people? Matt, you're on screen. Tell me now, what time is it? Is it time for us to reveal the name of the show?
You know, I would love that. I mean, I just don't know what name should I go.
But
I mean, you're the man.
yeah, let's reveal.
Uh-oh, the good Reverend's back. Everybody, hold on. Get your demons in order. Get your demons in order.
I'll put my thoughts away.
Okay. Oh, no, I'm sinning. I gotta get the cup and the cigarette out the picture.
I have exorcised the demons.
Oh, Lord, we leaving. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I'm committing a sin, too.
Oh, Mountain Dew, you sinning hard, brother.
It's a Saturday night. Right? It's a
lousy
night.
sinners drinking nasty stuff.
Oh, hold on. That's coffee. That's nasty, too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is sugar-free, so it can't create diabetes. It can't.
That's right.
Simple blessing, and it is done.
Okay, simple blessing.
Welcome
okay,
back,
I'll
Matt.
bless the,
Thank you. I'm staying quiet as a church mouse over here.
Oh, well,
yeah,
well
I'm
done.
shut
Well
up
done.
Too.
Hey, let us know when we're back on. Are we ready?
Yeah,
Are we
we're
ready to
on,
roll?
brother. That was 4
All right.
minutes, and
So,
God's time didn't equal our time. 4 minutes 53 seconds.
exactly. Never forget that. Lesson learned. Let's move.
Okay.
Oh, what? I'm supposed to say I'm sorry? I work for Jesus, man. All right? Whatever.
Is it a full-time job?
Hey, Jesus loves me. He hired me. That's it. You know what I'm saying? I do what I do.
Union break.
You don't like
Union
it?
break.
Hey. Yeah, exactly. Union break. Boy, I tell you, gives new meaning to the term when I say go to hell. I didn't mean that. Must be the sauce talking.
Yeah,
Must
my
be the
Mountain Dew.
sorry, I meant must be the coffee talking.
My Mountain Dew
All right.
start to affect my spirit.
So
It's a Scottish coffee, I believe.
I was talking
I like that.
talking
I like
about
that.
prayer, and I got to get that out. All right, but feel free to add your 10 cents you, from the nut gallery. But anywho, all right. So, my friends, listen. Law of reciprocity, law of seed time and harvest. We always worry about that law biting us because we make the mistake. But what would happen if you deliberately did something different? Let's just say you want more friends. I hear this all the time. Well, if you want friends, be one. Well, in a way, that's really true. Find somebody that you are friends with and actually spend more time with them. Start showing yourself friendly online. Start talking to people. And you'll discover that it won't be long before you'll have a group of little friends hanging out with you. I already have how many group of friends right now on my show talking to me? Boom! Law of reciprocity. You didn't even know it. There it is. It's already happening. Synchronicity. Things happen for a reason. Now, because When you're flowing according to divine purpose, that means you got to discover what is it that you're called to do. Whenever you put these principles into action and you're looking for, no, I know some people use it for evil, but I'm talking about you guys who are hungry and you want to grow spiritually. Put these principles into action. They will literally lead you step by step by step into a relationship with God. And as a result, you will become the very person that you were created to be. Automatically. You want friends? Start being friendly. I have books. Name a minister who doesn't, right? But I have books and I give them away. What happens? More books come flying at me from all over the place. And I stopped and I thought, wait a second, I'm actually triggering a law. Better to just kind of like, don't give them away. But, it happens. Whatever you give will multiply. That is everything, no matter what it is, including hatred, including anger, including, when I say anger, I'm talking about violent anger. The more you give that, the more it comes back to you. He who lives by the sword, what? Dies by the sword. Again, that's that principle. That's the negative side. But why would you want to keep triggering the negative side of these, my friends, when you can trigger the positive, where you can actually go and apply the good out of it? You want love in your life? Start being loving. Start with the people that you haven't been loving towards and start being loving to them. Give, and it will be given back to you. What about finances? You having a problem with your finances? Immediately, I know some people would say, oh, you got to take 10% of your income and give it, and especially give it to me. I don't even believe in that, because that is under an old covenant that has already been fulfilled. What you should do, though, is give a portion to wherever you are, whichever contributes to your growth in entirety. Okay? In other words, where or who is it that helps you grow spiritually and actually helps you receive revelation that gives life? That is where you should put your money. Give. Why? Because where your treasure is where your heart is going to be. Whatever you hold near and dear in here is reflected in where your finances go. So what is it? Where do you usually spend your money? That's where your heart is. Now for me, I spend most of my money on my laptop. I'm making sure that I have good headphones. I bought the shirt. Why? Because I want to make sure that I'm presenting myself in a way that is best for your reception. There's some spiritual truth I'm laying on you, but if I'm wearing a Mickey Mouse t-shirt, you might not be able to be too receptive. Or if I'm wearing a t-shirt that has Megadeth on it, I would only probably affect a very small group of people, like Jennifer, for instance, with her heavy metal. However, as a whole, most people are responsive to this. And I didn't even wear the square tag because it also comes with its conflicts. So I wear this instead, which conveys what? It conveys I'm a priest, but I'm not Roman Catholic. I'm a priest, but I'm not dangerous, or whatever else might be in the mind. So everything I do that best is gift wrapping for the present I'm offering. So whatever you plant always comes back to you, always. And when you are planting, if you want an increase in your finances, now here's the difference. Now here is where the law, when I say it's a law, it's actually one of the ways of God. But God never changes. The reason why God never changes is because to God there is no time. He has no beginning and no end. It's always the present. And you could do a time experiment right now if you want. At this very moment, we're in the present, right? Of course. What about now? Are we still in the present? Yes, all right. 4 seconds have passed. Are we still in the present? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that we do is in the present. So when God tells us how to pray, like what I was about to teach, he answers immediately. Why? Because everything is in the present to him. So when Jesus says, don't worry about tomorrow, tomorrow has sufficient problems for itself, what he's really saying is tomorrow is also in the present, but we have a beginning and we have an end. So time works that way. But when we start to think of ourselves as timeless, then we will also start practicing what is called faith. Faith is the ability to receive from the invisible realm and manifest it in the natural. Faith is the title deed of things I've been praying for, evidence of things I do not see. So if I am praying for or visualizing a pair of socks, I'm not going to say I'm going to get a pair of socks. I say I have a pair of socks, because you do. Just because they haven't manifested doesn't mean you don't have them. And what's the emotion behind that? Are you grateful? Grateful for those pair of socks? Wow, these are awesome socks and make my feet feel so good. Whatever. And then you add that in there. That's the paint. Let's say you need a car. I've done this so many times. Once I had a friend of mine. She had this beautiful car, and she could control the radio from the steering wheel. That was back in, well, wherever. But I was amazed by that. Now I have a car that not only controls the radio from the steering wheel, but actually has a TV screen, so I can see where I'm backing up to, and there's a phone attached. It blows me away. But back then, to see a person control the radio from the steering wheel was technology, and I wanted that. So I prayed for it, and I believed that I already had it. Thank you for my new car. I am so grateful now that I have a car that I can control the radio from the steering wheel, and it's an automatic. And I saw it as mine already. Mark 11:23 says, when you pray, believe that you have already received it, and you will have it. He didn't say you might have it. He didn't say, well, God might sometimes say no. The only time God will say no to you is if what you're asking for violates his loving nature. And even then, there'll be times when you will attract to yourself something you don't want, something negative. So be careful. So the answer is yes. You need a car, he's going to give it to you. Period. So what kind of car do you need? Well, you're saying that God is a cosmic Santa Claus. Not at all. I'm only showing what the scripture says. Scripture says that when you pray, believe that you have received the thing that you asked for, and you shall have it. Whatever you need, he promises to give it to you. And so, see the car. Paint the color by emotion. Add life to it. Thank you for this car. Before you go to sleep, imagine you driving the car. And this is a lot like The Secret, I know. But I'm not saying you're God. You're not God in entirety. No. You are an expression of God. Sure. But one day, you will be a child of God. And I'll get to that in a minute. So here you are. You've got this car. It's already in your mind. It's already here. Now, when you have it here, where you know you got the car, it is only a matter of time before it manifests out there. That's the title deed. I did this one time for a speech contest. John L. Burke oratorical contest, same thing. And so in my mind, I saw myself standing, giving the speech at high school, beating out anybody who was in my way. I saw it. In my mind, I saw a standing ovation for my speech. And I felt the swell of gratitude and the sense of accomplishment. I put all that in there. And every night as I was going to sleep, I was like, thank you, Father, or thank you, God, that I have won the John L. Burke oratorical contest. That's what I did. And so I did, and I put it out there, and I was so grateful. Every night I did that. And one night, I had already written out the speech. Everything was ready to go. I tore up that speech and I rewrote it because I was hit with inspiration. So first thing, pray. When you pray, see what it is that you want. What is it that you want? That's the first thing. Don't ask for generalities. Be very specific about what you want. Number two, once you figure out exactly what you want, ask. That's how you put the color, you put the emotion in, and you show the gratitude. Thank you. Ask and receive. Ask, believe, receive. He who asks in faith, believing. And believers are receivers. So when you have that in mind and you see yourself, like I saw myself winning the contest, I was like, I am so grateful now that I won the John L. Burke Oratorical Contest every night as I was going to sleep. And then I was hit with inspiration. Now, during this journey, while you were asking for whatever it is, the car, there'll come a time you'll have this knowing, the sense of an action. Then you put the action in. Then you do that inspired action, it's called. That's like God's telling you, now go. Do it. Go shopping for your car today. Okay. I don't know. I just had this feeling I needed to go shopping for my car, and I felt like I needed to go to this one. And then you'll be led right straight to it. Or maybe you get the inspiration to go to your friend's house. Why would I want to go to my friend's house when it comes to the car? I don't know. But then you find out your friend bought you a car. That's how it happened for me. So with the speech contest, the inspired action was this. Tear up your speech, and I rewrote it. What was it on? It was on faith, believe it or not. The very thing I'm telling you right now is pretty much the speech I gave then as a kid. I tore it up, rewrote it. And what happened at the end of my speech? I got a standing ovation. I won the speech contest, and I ended up with even greater honors as a result of winning the contest, more than I imagined. And that is what God promises. That He will give you above and beyond all that you could positively ask, think, or imagine. Does that sound like one who's waiting to judge you and strike you down with lightning because you screw up? The God of lightning and thunder? Not at all. That's not Him. The God of mercy and loving kindness. It's the goodness of God that makes a person change their mind. That's what repent means. It means to change your mind. Why? You change your mind, you change your mind, you change your course. You change it in here, it changes out there. So, I won the speech contest hands down. And I absolutely beat the people who were in competition with me. And that was so great. I was very pleased with that. All right. So how does these stories tie in? Well, I'm planting seeds within my subconscious when I'm praying, right? Again, what am I planting? You reap what you sow. If I'm planting ideas of success, I'm going to what? Attract success. If I am planting promises of scripture that says that my needs will be met to overflowing, then my needs will be met overflowing. If I want more revelation into the secrets of the universe, which is my big thing, then guess what's going to happen? I'm going to get more. Since I have started this, going online and sharing divine revelation with people, I have been getting more divine revelation back, flooded with it. And the more I give prophetically to people, when people call in, I pray for them, and I'm able to read them, the more the ability to read comes back. So much so that I had to open up Blog Talk so that I could actually release more of it, because it just keeps coming back. So to him who has, more shall be given. But to him who thinks he has, even what he thinks he has will be taken from him. What does that mean? Simply this. Those of us who think we have it all set. Well, I have a doctorate in theology, a master's in divinity. I don't need to go and study any more than I need to. I'm all set. Well, then even what you think you have will slowly be taken from you. And your effectiveness to reach the world, which was the mandate originally, will be lost to you. What's the point of spending all that money, getting a master's degree or getting a doctorate degree, and losing the ability to influence the lives of other people for the better? What a waste. That's the whole point.
Amen.
But the more you give away, that's right, Chris, amen, bro. The more you give out, though, the more you'll get back. So, find out what your niche is. Well, it's baseball. Then go out there and play baseball, but do it as a person who is gentle and loving and compassionate, and watch what you get back. You don't have enough friends, be a friend. You don't feel like you have enough love in your life, start giving it out. Start being nice to the people who come in and take care of you. Be nice to them. Show kindness to people who you meet on the street. Even if you have to stop and let people go across the street, people cut you off, you just let it go instead of cussing them out. Those are seeds that will always come back. It is a law that never, ever breaks.
Very true.
I knew a guy, he never worried about having his bills paid. And he wasn't even a believer in God or anything. He just never worried about it. I said, how is that? He goes, listen, all I do is every month, somebody always needs money. So what do? I give whatever money I have and I give it to them. He says, it never fails that there's always a check that comes. Somehow money always seems to come to me. He says, but I've discovered that if I give it away, it comes back to me more. I don't know what that is. I was like, dude, really? Are you putting me on? He goes, no, seriously. He goes, I give money away to people who need it, and I can always count on a check coming back to me for something I need. I said, that's the law of reciprocity. That's the law of giving and receiving. So whether it's money, people talk about it being money all the time, and the only reason why we talk about money is because, well, we use it. But money is the manifestation of what your heart is. Money is not. This is why a lot of people don't like talk about money. Money is a root. The love of money is a root of all evil. The love of money. Greed is what's talking about there. Money is not evil. As I was talking to Matt, and what we were talking about, I said, now if I had this beautiful ruler and I made this beautiful home for the poor and a shelter out of the rain for pregnant women, wow, you're a hero. Yep. But then I take that ruler, sharpen up, and start stabbing people to death. Now, did the ruler become evil? No. It's the one who uses it. So money in itself is neither good nor evil. It is a force that you can use for whatever is a reflection of the heart. Therefore, where your heart is where your treasure is going to go. Where your focus is where your power flows.
We got a call.
You have a caller. All
right.
Yeah, caller 970. Speak up, because we're learning something here.
Oh, it's Miss Gayleen.
Miss Gayleen. Finally,
Yeah.
you have made it to this side of the house.
Oh,
How may I
I've
be
been
of
listening.
service to you?
Well, it's
And
not
what'd
a
you
matter
think
of
so far,
service.
yeah?
I was going to join your conversation. Is that all right?
Okay, sure, absolutely. What kind of pearls of wisdom do you have for us, Miss Gayleen?
Well, within the line of thinking here, this is another, I guess, what you might want to call a witness.
Okay.
You talk about those feelings. And this I try to teach many people because I just get so excited when it happens. I don't go into town much to go to the grocery store, as we all know. We're to curtail that thing. But back in February, I know that I'm to go back out into the grocery store, and I need to stock up on things because I can see the writing on the wall coming. And so while I'm out there doing my thing, the thing that I know that I should be doing, and I'm intent on that, I still keep myself open. And as I'm heading down the aisle, here it is, mid-February, Valentine's Day, there's cards around, balloons and everything else. I'm racing down the aisles to get done and get home and stay home. And I put on the brakes. I mean, literally, with my cart pushing ahead of me. Screeched to a halt. Here's this man standing in front of the cards, and I am compelled to speak with him. I don't know why I'm speaking with him, but I'm going to speak with him because I am compelled. And I stop in front of him, and I think, okay, well, how am I going to not look like a loon, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I go, hi, are you choosing a card for a special person in your life? And this gentleman puts his head to the ground, and he sways back and forth very, very, very sadly. And he goes, no, I don't have anyone. And I thought, oh boy, here we go. I guess I'm here to do something good. And where am I going to get this inspiration? So I just kind of look up and I think, okay, start pouring it because the mouth is going to open. So I start opening the mouth. And when I start talking, the right words come. And they came out very well. He says, well, I don't have anyone. And I said, well, then that's just because you've not come across the right one for you. And, well, I'm always hoping and trying. I go, well, maybe that's it. You're trying and you're hoping. You're not waiting and expecting. And I said, you know what? I've got a task for you. You're not waiting for just the right one. I bet you have a mother or a sister at home, don't you? Somebody who would love to have a wonderful card you picked out for them. She goes, well, yeah, I do have a sister. And I go, well, pick out the most wonderful card for her and send it. And she will just love that. And you're filling that space that you need to fill. And when you fill that space, then it does everything to create the perfect you that somebody out there is waiting to find. Every time you do that. And he started to lift his head, and he started to brighten up, and he goes, you know, I'm going to do that. And I go, well, then you just do that. And you also have yourself a nice day. Bye. And I took off. Because I know it works. I know that law. I use it every day of my life. It just works. Once you get it, you got it.
That's very true.
So that was a simple story.
Wow. Thank you. What a great testimony. Thank you for sharing that.
So, yes, it's very simple.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Yep. Very simple, yep. And that's the point. It's that KISS principle. Keep it short and simple. Jesus said that the kingdom of God is like a child. Has to be. So we complicate things so much. We're like, well, there's the doctrine of the homologeo or the doctrine of whatever, and it's this huge long thing, and then it's just like somebody was saying something along the lines the philosophy, and instead of being a lover of wisdom, which is simplicity itself, we become experts at bloviation and being puffed up and pharisaical, meaning that look at me and all the exteriors, all this holier than thou, and it's just like look at us, we're these pros and experts, but there's no fruit. None of those principles are, in demonstration. That's one of the biggest things that are going on right now within Christendom, is that they have the form of godlikeness, but they deny the supernatural power of it. So, again, they've proven themselves worthless. And I said that, and I don't care how many ministers are listening right now or will come across this. You are worthless if you're not putting the principles that you were trained in, if you're not putting it into practice. What are you doing? You're only taking up space. But you will learn your lesson eventually, either the easy way or the hard way. Preferably just do it the easy way. Go along for the ride. If you are out there... Oh, yeah, just one moment. If you're out there, you know the number. Call, let us know. Just like Miss Galen. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, your question.
Yeah, my question is what is your teachings, what is your beliefs in principle and in action on those that give absolutely everything away because they feel that that's what they have to do to produce the effect that they need to gain God's love? Well, I have to give everything away. And I argue that point. I'd like to hear what you say about that.
Okay. Well, these principles operate by...
Away.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you. Well, to answer your question, I'll answer it with a question. Is this a question for education, or is this a question because you already know the answer?
No, I would like to. I have my opinion, and I get to stop short, so I need more. So I do have a question.
Okay.
I need more refinement on this.
All right.
Because it comes up, and I want to.
There are those people who are gifted. There are those people who are gifted, and they have a supernatural capacity to give to the point that it hurts. But they don't give to get. They give because it's within themselves to have an expectation that they are taken care of. So no matter how much they give, they know it's going to come back. It's like the farmer. I don't know a single farmer who goes out there and plants his garden who does not in October expect a harvest. None. There's not a single farmer that I can think of who is good night, Matt, and thanks again for being part of the show. God bless you and sleep well, my friend. So I don't know a single farmer who will go out and plant the seeds, even professional ones, who do not expect a harvest. So are they giving to get? The principle is different. There are those people who will give and give and give and give because they are manipulating or trying to manipulate the system. The only problem with that is they're doing that out of greed. And as a result of that, he who has, or he who thinks he has, what he thinks he has will be taken from him, and it will short circuit, and it will literally take from him. But if there are those people who give, and they give generously to the point where it hurts, because they want to be a blessing to somebody, they're giving for the purpose of meeting another's need, or being the hand of God, I guess you could say, to somebody else who needs money. Well, they can rest assured that they will reap a harvest on their giving for one reason, because it is promised. That's the difference. If it's promised, then yeah, I can expect that. If my grandmother promises me that if I mow her lawn, she's going to give me $20, well, then it's okay for me to go to my grandmother after I mow the lawn, and she's like, you're a good kid, and she gives me $20. Okay, so, all right, so now I'm expecting that. Now, am I going to mow the lawn, trim the hedges and everything, and expect her to give me more money, so I'm going to squeeze her for like $30? Well, then no, that's not going to happen. And so there is a manipulation of the law, which will always backfire. But when a person gives, and they give with the intent of the heart, exactly. It's the intent of the heart in the end. It's all about the heart. Everything is about where are you in your heart. If you are there in your heart and you know that you are just blessing people and you're giving, or you are blessing the man or woman of God who is teaching you so that they can have their needs met, well, then rest assured that not only will you get back what you gave, but there'll be more given back to you, so that the person who has the right mind will turn around and they will go, excellent, that'll give me more to give to other people. And they will always have, there will never be a guy ever that will lack for any long period of time who is a good giver, because it will always come back. Did I answer your question okay?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
There was a refinement
so that
there.
is the...
Excuse me?
Excellent. No, go ahead. I was just about to make a comment to the people, but go ahead. You were saying?
No, I couldn't hear with that last word you said, so we're done on that.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. The last word was actually directed to the audience. So now that conversation that Gayleen had, thank you, by the way, for calling. Thank you, because your pearls of wisdom, always timely, and I deeply appreciate that. So, just like Gayleen had said, she has the testimony that she reaped what she was sowing. Why? Because it was the intention of the heart. That is what is the key to everything I'm ever going to show you in the days ahead. Whatever I'm going to show you, even the stories I share with you of how to be set free from evil spirits, it is your heart, that center of your being, that belief that you possess. That is always going to be what is mirrored to you in your life. Your life experience in the physical world is a mirror of what's going on within you. People who are hoarders, who have all kinds, who buried themselves, it is a reflection of a fear that is deeply within them. And so it's a shell. But what if you were able, by the power of God, to go in and help people get set free from that fear? Once that fear has been resolved, then the synchronicities will follow suit. So the next time you have a meaningful coincidence, stop and think about it. What does this mean? What was it about? And then think about what was your actions, or what was your thought that led to that. Then do it again and watch what happens. That's what I did. And that's what other people have done. They've discovered these different principles, and then they applied it. And so in the Bible, that's called the keys of the kingdom. When Peter was the first, he was the first person to receive the keys. When you have keys, what does that mean? It means you have control. If I gave you the keys to my house, you have control of my house. If I gave you keys to my car, you have control to my car. Also means I have a level of trust. You understand where I'm coming from, so now I trust you with the keys. When you're employed and you're granted the keys to the place to open and close, right? You have control over who comes and goes now, because you and the owner, or you being the owner perhaps, you have an idea what is expected. Peter recognized Jesus as the anointed one, but he didn't have any sign. He didn't have glasses that when he put it on, Jesus was glowing with heavenly light. No, Jesus smelled like pine because he was a carpenter, or he smelled like fish, whichever which he was doing at the time. But he was just a Jewish blue-collar worker looking like everybody else. But there was something about him, and Peter was able to nail it supernaturally. And he said, "You are the Christ. You're the anointed one. You are the Benai Elohim, the Son of the living God." And then he said, "To you, Peter, I'm going to change your name from Simon to Peter, because now you're entering into a covenant relationship with me and becoming a student of the mysteries. And now I'm going to give you the keys. So whatever you release on earth has already been released in heaven, and whatever you forbid on earth has already been forbidden in heaven. What does that mean? It means now you're going to have, since you've learned to operate by divine revelation, now you're going to be able to enforce the move of heaven on the earth. And so the signs, the wonders, and the miracles started to work profusely through Peter after that. So, just a thought.
Hey,
what would happen if you gain those keys? Yeah, go ahead. You're about to say something.
Yeah. You know, I got the keys to the Corvette, brother, and I'm riding dirty.
That's what I'm saying.
You know I love you. And you got another caller here on the side. Miss Jennifer Malik.
Bring her in.
Hello.
Oh, yeah. Jennifer, you're on.
Hello.
With the Good Rev.
It's awesome. Good evening, Reverend.
Hello, Jen. How are you?
Hello, Jennifer.
Hello? Hi, Jennifer.
How's it going?
That was it? Well, I'm well. I'm very well, Jennifer. So how can I be a blessing to you? Sounds like you might need an exorcism with that burst of the voice there.
Isn't
no,
she
I have
powerful?
a list of people that need an exorcism, but I am not one of them.
Good for you.
Hey, Rev.
So what can I do for you? Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Jennifer. What can he do for you?
No, I'm just calling in to listen for support. Because I've been listening since I've been eating dinner, so.
Oh, she still got the munchies in her mouth right now. I know she'd be running her mouth.
Oh, well, when you're done with the munchies, I have a blessing for you, Jen. If you want one.
That would be nice.
You know, Jennifer, I got one of them too, and I'm sorry. He pumped me full of energy. I couldn't even listen. I was up for. I'll put it this way. I saw a whole first season after I finished doing radio of what was that? The Umbrella Club. Academy. That's it. Umbrella Academy. I saw the whole first season. I couldn't sleep that night. I mean, I could not.
That was
sleep.
a good show too.
Yeah, it was. It was really good. I think they're going to come out with a second season too. But on the other side, bro, since she's eating, I got one for you. You know, I always, my son was sitting here. He really loves to hear you talk, and he says, I learn new words. Yeah, my little boy, he's learning new words, and he's understanding the additional powers that are out there. That's strong. That's strong. I ain't gonna lie, it's strong. I ain't gonna lie now. I'm gonna say it's strong. But you know, my question for you is, it goes back to that statement, you know, do unto others. You know, many people out there don't believe that statement. And many people don't want to admit that statement. But they blame somebody for their downfalls when the person that they blaming don't even see them, don't even acknowledge them, didn't even see the energy they putting towards them, but they got their downfalls. They hit rock bottom. They become 4 men in a shed type thing. Now, Reverend, I'm trying to understand. I know God whips. You know, your God good now. I ain't gonna cut. He's loving. Whips those people that believe totally and strongly in him when they do wrong. Can you explain why they get the whippings they do?
Okay. All right. First, that scripture. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, the golden rule, right? But that is right after he teaches on prayer. And he teaches what I just taught just now. So that's interesting. That question should come up because right after Jesus teaches about the prayer of faith and about you receiving from heaven, he turns around and he says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So he was referring to prayer. Check it out, see it yourself. He was referring to prayer. If you want God to bless you amazingly, well, why not just pray for somebody else to be blessed amazingly? And therefore, you have this communion going on. That solves the other outside issue. If you're too busy praying from your heart for somebody else to be blessed the way you want to be blessed, and you want them truly blessed, well, then that is going to put your heart in a position of forgiveness. Now, the separate question is God disciplines those he loves, and the word there, chasten, does mean whip. So, yes. Now, let's take a look at that. If you, how would you feel if your son, after you told him not to run out in the middle of the street, runs out in the middle of the street and almost gets hit by a bus, a tour bus?
Ooh.
So you're like, I need to teach this kid a lesson. But here's the thing. It's not a judgment. It's almost like the discipline comes from you, actually. Yeah, God disciplines those he loves, but don't forget, it first starts as the gentle, hey, what are you doing? Don't do that. And then it goes on to, okay, you run into somebody else who says, man, I did that thing. I'll never do it again. And then it runs into, you watch something on TV and you see this horrible thing happen. You're like, oh, and then finally you do it. And then you suffer the consequences of your action. And then you feel like you're getting whipped. But listen, God doesn't whip people when you do something wrong. He gently nods and corrects you. But if we choose to ignore that, then it increases. It's called levels of divine discipline. And so eventually, if he can't get you gently, then the next thing he'll affect is your finances. Yeah, sometimes because we leave the door open, then the negative forces come in and they seek to destroy us, so your finances get crunched. Mm-hmm. And you're like, why is this happening? Well, maybe because you're too busy hanging out with this woman instead of spending time with your wife or whatever it might be.
Or maybe I got one for you.
It's designed to protect you so that you don't end up being a victim of circumstance or whatever else. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I got one for you. See, a lot of people don't understand the fact that, number one, you do right things come for you. You know what I mean? It's almost like, but the point you were saying was,
and maybe not right away, but it does happen.
Yeah, and God don't whip you. You whipping yourself more ways than one. I mean, yes, you maybe have the mind of a child. You may have that mind, as they say, that mind of a child. But you know right from wrong. You know to listen to your father.
Yes.
And you know how to obey somebody that's looking out for you. Now, in the other terms that I have to mention is that, sometimes that little patting on the butt is just a little patting just to let you know, wake up now. But then on the other side, it is the foreshadowing to future incidents that may occur. And then on the other side, when you were talking about how you can, if you keep going out with a little girl and spending your money on her, you wonder why you got expenses and stuff that are not being met at home. Well, I got one better than that.
Let me ask you a question.
I got one better though, real quick. The one better than that is when you look at people that say, oh, I lost my home and I lost this and I lost that. But why you doing drugs? Why you smoking all that money away? Why you feeding the others? Come on now.
Right.
I mean, look, I was blessed today. I looked in my shoe and I said, I needed some money. Well, you know me. I'm one of those guys that just throw the money, change in the bucket and money on the side somewhere. I looked in my shoe and I'm like, what is this I'm feeling when I put the shoe on? Oh, what's this? What? reached inside of it and pulled out a bill. I was like, you know something? I haven't just given to my lady in a while. The first thing that hit me, not me giving to myself, the lady that supports me, the one that stands beside me. So what I did was I went out and got a bottle of wine. The people, look, for my birthday I got a $50 bottle of wine. Same 50 went to my lady, and because we're even on that walk, we walk side by side, and well, I'm drinking a good crisp. Now I already know she likes her wine sweet, so I got it sweet. Now the thing is, sometimes a gift from God can be the improvement for life from where you were, or it could be something that says, do something special for someone beside you, the one you love, as they say. Or how about this? Do something special for that one that's out there on the street corner. That might, and give them a little word, but you're not just giving somebody something. Give them a word of wisdom, something that will lead them on a path. I mean, here's an example.
So you're saying,
yes,
it's better instead of giving a man a fish and he eats for the day, you teach him the fish, he eats for the rest of his life. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. Oh my God, you Reverend, you know something? I think we work good together because number one, you on that path that I'm on. Here's an example of that. Today, when I went down to the store to get the wine, I reached in my pocket and I had $5. And I saw this guy, he was all ragged up, and he's homeless. And I don't know, I felt kind of bad. I mean, I'm looking at him and I really felt bad because I smelled him. And he goes, I just want some food, and everybody just keep ignoring. And I'm like, well, how about this? I walked him over to the laundry, the dry cleaners right here on the corner where I live, and I was like, I talked to Mr. Yan at the dry cleaners, and he said, I got some extra clothes for you in the back. Whoa, chain reaction right there. Had some, it came out with his size. Oh my God, didn't even ask for his size. That's one stop. Hold on, we're not done. I told him, what brought you to this path? I mean, what made you homeless? He goes, I was fighting, and I was fighting to keep my family's survival. I'm like, but you fight for your family, but did you think it's you to survive first? Because as male of your house, if you don't survive, they don't survive. So he spent lots of money on his woman. He was telling me how much he spent, and he neglected to save anything back. He wanted them happy. I can understand you want your family happy, but let's try something. His happiness was to save things, but he saved and gave it all back to them. That made them neglect. And every time she got mad, he would buy her stuff, and jewelry and all that good stuff that she would like. Well, she left him high and dry. Forgot about self once again. But he told me the story, and I said, so have you learned yet? Second thing that happened to him today. The guy at the dry cleaner, Mr. Jan, said, well, how about this? After hearing your story, would you like to start on Monday? And you can sleep in the back. Oh, now look. My side is war. Your side is love and peace and beauty and helping. And I'm looking at your side like, wow, that's something right there. That was a destiny meeting. Now he's got a place to stay. That's a shelter, as you said, out the storm, a shelter out the heat, a shelter. He can stay in the back of the laundromat. Now, he got a job. That's 2. He got $5. 3, and he got fresh, clean clothes. And at laundromat, they have a place where you can wash up and keep clean, look good. All right. So I was walking to the liquor store, and
this is all the synchronicity thing I was talking about. Go ahead.
It's walking. You walking me down. I'm walking down that path too. Walking to the liquor store, I found $10 sitting around the corner edge, and people were walking right past it.
Yep.
The total price for the bottle of wine was $57.60. I had a 50 in the pocket. I got nothing more to say than I don't know, I understand, but I walk my path. My destiny is from point A to point B, and I'm not going to get disturbed, discouraged, or pushed around by no outside forces that want to say, I did something, because I have not even paid attention to that individual or individuals. 4 verses 1, check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you're walking by, that's when you're walking by, quote unquote, according to you, walking by faith.
And you just don't know.
You never know.
That's what I'm talking about.
You never know.
And some have entertained angels without even knowing about it. That's the other thing. Angels can manifest themselves as people, and you could be reaching out and feeding them and taking care of them, and you would have had no idea that it was actually an angel that did it.
And you would never know. Make it even worse.
We know those things.
I don't know if he was an angel, because I don't know if Monday he will be there. Maybe he would go poof and go on to another journey. Or maybe this is a journey that he had to go on to reach a further goal, to meet somebody that comes to that dry cleaners. Think about it. I mean, there's those lines of connection to destiny are huge, because you don't see the intersecting lines.
Exactly.
It's playing pool to the largest degree.
So you can either, so you could either just be pushed around by it, or you can decide to participate and actually go with it and see where it takes you. That's the whole exciting adventure that we have as human beings, as we get the privilege of co-creating and co-laboring with God, and then all of the spiritual beings that are connected to the Creator will be working with you. I mean, what you see is a tiny part of the invisible realm. It's like it's perfect. It's the analogy of the iceberg, right? You only see the tiny tip of the iceberg, and you're like, wow, that's huge. But you don't see the gigantic chunk of ice that is below the water that is like 3 times the size. And so we have these beautiful supernatural beings, divine beings, that work with us to accomplish the very work we're supposed to do. And the earth is the meeting place, the battleground, as it were, where we get things done. I don't understand why. That. I just know that I'm a participant in this thing, and I will play my part. But I won't play it powerless. I will play it with power. Hey. Thank you very much for the background sound. Hallelujah. With power.
You know,
and
Reverend, I gotta say it. It's amazing. I know Jennifer's got some inspirational, beautiful stories too. I know Christopher Wayne Fisher, my man. I know you got stories. I ain't got to go there for you, because you got, as they say, divine intervention stories. I know they're there. And you know, it feels kind of good, honestly, to play a part in the walk of destiny for others, especially when you sit back, look back, and say, hey, you know, I was used as a vessel at that one moment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, normally I would just ignore the person on the street or walk past them because sometimes I don't even want to know their story. Honestly,
Right.
I don't want to
Because
know
you got
it.
your own story you're dealing with.
Oh man, I got stories to deal with all in my head, and I'm setting up for wars every second, and preventive measures at every moment. I have to. That's the way it is, and that's the destiny I've walked for myself, and that's the destiny people are trying to create around me. I would like peace in the Middle East type of stuff. I would love that if people allow it, but you know.
This whole COVID thing, which is what I want to make sure I talk about. But think about it. What was it, Daryl, that made you want to talk about this today? I mean, why did you bring that up?
You know.
You see my point?
Yeah, I do.
And it was right, and you didn't know I was going to talk about how patterns and synchronicities and how to participate in that. But yet you come right along. What time is it now?
11:38. At the end, almost.
Right around, and you tell at the end, and you talk about this amazing synchronicity story, which bears out everything I just got done saying for the last 3 hours almost. You see my point? Even this show has now. I didn't arrange it that way.
No.
I'm just going along with the flow of things. I was going to talk to Matt, and I wasn't sure if I was going to talk to Matt for 2 hours or just 1 hour, but I had to cut it at the hour. And then I started talking about the principles of the synchronicity. And then once I got that, then I answered some questions about giving and the same thing. And then you came in, and what you talk about, these coincidences that happen and giving. And it's just like this whole show has had a theme of which I did not consciously create. That should tell anybody this is the sign that they're looking for. Amazing to me.
Hey.
Now, you didn't set it up like that. How cool is that?
Rev, I'm sitting here laughing.
You're inspired by God, sir.
I don't understand this. hey, Chris, I got to tell you, I'm not going to talk to Rev no more because he's on a path that I understand, and I'm going to definitely have a duality within me, definitely, because I can't deny either. But the bottom line is, Chris, it was amazing. It was amazing to see how I was able to walk down the street at that one moment, at that one time, okay, to discover.
Out of all the places you could have turned left, you turned right. Yep.
Thank you. An individual that needed it at one time, a store owner to show up at that same moment. Come on now. Wow. Store owner, wow.
Yes.
Okay. Throw you a job.
Exactly.
Tell you in front of me you can change and get dressed and clean up in the back. Hold on. Let's think about this. He's all settled and straight with the store owner when I'm walking away. And then I look down thinking to get my woman something, for us to share. And for my woman mainly. And there's an extra 10 on the ground. I walk in and I get the bottle, but I didn't know how much it was really. And it came to the price I needed to bring home some change. God didn't leave me without, in other words.
Awesome.
I said, look. You heard me acknowledge, Rev, so just sit back. Enjoy that one moment. Enjoy that one moment. Yeah, didn't leave me without.
One of many.
Oh,
Here we go again. To come.
Oh, make it even worse.
A toast to you, Ed.
I don't know what to say.
Here's to your good health.
Cheers,
and
family.
Thank you, boss.
Bottoms up.
Hey, you just never know. So, one final comment. So since anyone who has been watching this and has taken the time to scan through the whole show and has the eyes to see, they will see a pattern underlying this whole show today. And this is going to be the case with every show because I'm not running it. Matt and I prayed. Actually, Matt prayed. And he asked that it would go according to his plan, not mine. And here's this whole thing. And you played right into it. So, very good. Thank you,
thank
sir.
you very much. Okay,
Now
you just told me that I was part of the grand scheme of things. Well, as long as it helps others, I don't mind.
Well, think about it. All right, you know what? I won't say the other comment, but I will say this. The whole reason why I'm on the show happened because Gerd decided to interview me through Chris Garcia. Psychic Chris, great guy, check him out. Okay, so Chris Garcia, last second, says, hey, could you come on the show? Absolutely. And then people start calling in, and then I'm giving like these little mini readings, which is causing all kinds of ruckus. All of us have moisture in our eyes because people being touched and blessed. And then one of those people was the great Kate Camara. So now she is hearing this thing. And then now you see one of my shows that was on Blog Talk, and you're considering about having me on, but coincidentally, you happen to talk to Kate, and Kate's like, oh, no, you're not considering having him on. You're having him on. You're going to give him the 3 hours. Okay, no problem. So then you and I start chit-chatting, and the next thing you know, details of your life are now laid bare. But all these coincidental things just fell into place so that now, here I am, the second time around, 9 to midnight, and once again, something amazing has happened. So I see patterns within patterns.
Oh my God, no, you're using my terms. Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
You're right. Okay.
I got the baptism to do tomorrow. Both families. And again, as I said earlier, they both contacted me this week, unbeknownst to the other. Not even, they thought they were just asking for themselves, and they both asked, and then now they're both coming together and meeting up, and I'm going to baptize 8 or so people tomorrow. And that's what we call.
Chris,
amazing.
Come on. Help me,
Now,
Chris.
I did not come up with that.
Chris, what do you see, Christopher? Come on, bro. What do you see?
You'll go places, Daryl. This network will grow large, and with God behind us, it'll be even better.
I agree.
So the warrior, it's not just a warrior, but I mean, so as I stated before, I'm not only covered by a shield and a staff,
but the blood of Jesus. Hallelujah.
Oh.
Yeah, go on.
So hold on.
Come on.
Okay. Oh, you want to dance a little bit? You got me a little gigawatt. I got a little gigawatt going on. I got a little gigawatt. It feels kind of good. I don't know. I'm still trying. Look. I may know, but I will never say I know until the day you hear me say I know. You know that I've come to the mutuality and the continuity and the synchronization of my thoughts. I'm using big words. Can we get a dictionary? Yeah. I see. Look.
Google it.
You see, people. I mean, on this network, you get a lot of shows, but you know, sometimes I'm gonna say it honestly. Everybody's real. That's the messed up thing about this network. It's the worst thing about it. We got real people that's gonna tell you real stuff. I mean,
real stuff.
Yeah, I mean, spread the word, okay?
We don't play.
Real play. Oh, we real all the time. I mean, from Monday through Sunday, and Hell Day, which is going to always be Saturday. Well, it's heaven for me. I don't know about everybody else, you know. I mean, it's heaven, because after this show, I got Gary the Mad Martian, who may go to 5, 6 o'clock. Yeah, that's that mad, crazy Martian. He may go to 6 o'clock in the morning because somebody pissed him off.
Wow. Oh, I'm impressed with something, Daryl. I just found out something about the show I was a guest on tonight. 200 Facebook views. That's more than I ever got in any show.
Well, hold on. Christopher Wayne Fisher, you know, I always told you, brother, if you want to just, you know, don't I'm not saying you leaving Chris Garcia. Because Chris Garcia needs his man. Because I already know how that is. But if you ever want to jump on and do your own little thing during the day or something, you know.
I'm staying with you no matter what. I can do both.
Now, you ain't leaving me, bro. Trust me, I love you.
Now,
that's not
do I end the show 10 minutes before the hour?
Oh yeah, but
Daryl?
Yeah, 10 minutes for the hour. But hold on,
okay, because I gotta say my ending.
And you gotta say your prayer
phrase.
Too. You gotta pray for us all.
So when I close out with that phrase.
Yeah, you gotta pray for us too.
Hey, Chris knows it.
Oh shoot! But hold on.
Chris knows my outro.
Yeah, he does.
Chris knows my outro.
Chris loves you, man. But I'm gonna say it. Like I said to any host,
he loves that outro.
Any host on this network knows. During the daytime hours, all you gotta do is give me a message. Say, "Yo, I want to go live." Right, Rev?
That's right.
This is how I said it, people. Just say, "I want to go live." Hey, if there's nothing being played, and I'm sitting here twiddling my thumb and thinking about, you know, the synopsis of why I gave this guy $5, why that the owner of the dry cleaner came up to him and offered him clothes that fit him perfectly. Stop. Why he even offered him a job and a place to stay and a place to cover his head at night. If I ask those questions, hold on. Even why to me finding $10 on the ground while I'm walking to a liquor store, the Pearson's Liquors, just to let y'all know.
Yep.
If I got to advertise them because, you know, they keep the power ripping and ready. But if I have to say why and think why and consider why all the time, I will lose who I am. I walk the path of destiny. I sail the 7 seas with it. I sail the ocean blue. I sail the land that's known as space. I sail everything for that. And you know why? Because it's not my mind or my decision or my creation. I walk by destiny, not by somebody else's fate.
Interesting.
Uh-oh.
Interesting. Well said, sir.
Next show. I know what you're going to say. All right, Rev. I had to say those words because people don't understand. I'd rather do something that I'm not controlling.
So we ready for the outro?
You ready for it? Hold on. Everybody, suit up, boot up. The Rev's getting ready to cast some demons out.
There we go. First of all, God bless every single one of you. Those who have been listening to the sound of my voice, may God truly bless you. And remember, God always loves you. So, on the road to hope, always remember, the truth really is out there. Thank you.
Oh.
That was it? I would have said one more thing.
The music. That was rehearsal.
Oh, that was rehearsal?
Let's do it again.
Okay.
Give me some music.
Okay.
Or hum. I don't care. Do something.
Okay, I'll give you some good music.
Be thou my vision. Oh, sorry, wrong one. All right. Thank you all for watching my show. I appreciate it. I hope you saw the pattern that was in it that was not planned by myself or Mr. Odin himself. Nope. The plan came off perfectly. Thank you, Matt, for being part of the show. I know you're sleeping, little baby. But anyway, thank you for that. And everyone who commented, Chris, thanks for everything. And of course, Daryl, thanks for popping into last and coming up with that amazing story. So I did this on Blog Talk Radio. It was awesome. So remember, my friends, on the road to hope, the truth really is out there.